Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're gonna start a new series on this channel, and this will be a series of when we're gonna implement the text editor completely from scratch, working in your browser. I've come up with a few features that you would like to implement in a text editor. This will not be a rich text editor. This will be an editor that is aimed to edit source code. Today I will show you a very basic implementation of basic features like typing single characters in, removing characters with a backspace button, adding new lines with enter, and along the series we will look into implementing the more advanced features like showing a cursor, having multiple cursors, having multiple selections, and so on. And there will also be series devoted to non-functional requirements for the project, like code organization, unit testing, integration tests, and so on. I've made a very basic structure already. I have just a single module. By the way, I picked the name for the editor, and that's Pico. There will be multiple modules here. So the Pico editor model, we'll have a business logic for the editor. For now, it's an empty package, and everything resides in the Pico editor browser, which is a module that is devoted to have the editor running in the modern web browser. I installed Webpack in this module, a very basic setup that supports Typescript, and I right now have just a single file. So let me first demo you the first features that I will show you today. So I have the my web app Pico editor browser running in the browser here on the right side. Let me zoom this a little bit. So the editor just says start typing at the beginning, and when I start typing, I see the characters popping up on the screen. When I hit the backspace button, I can remove characters, and when I hit enter, I can start typing new. I'm adding new lines to the text field. So now let's go to the implementation. You need to know that I'm not using any browser input field features for this implementation. Like everything I just demoed to you could be implemented just with adding a text area. Adding a text area to your page. But that's not something that I want, because the text area, yeah, it's great. It supports all the basic features out of the box, so you don't need to implement them. But sure, the very same thing, right? And it supports even more. So you already have a cursor here. You can select text, which you can't do right now in my editor in Pico. But when it comes to really advanced features like multiple cursors, for example, here I have in my IDE, I can have multiple cursors here and start typing things. And this would be really hard to implement with a text area implementation in the browser. So instead, we will just implement our editor from scratch. So you can see it as a learning project as well, because implementing a text editor is a nice educational task as well. So let's go to the implementation. This code is really just to show you the idea. It's not the final code. This will be improved along the series, but let's have a look. So if we start again, and I open the console here, so the first thing that happens, and there is a function component here, which of course everything will be changed here, but this is just a basic Webpack example. I started right from that. So on the start of the application, we just append the element that's created in this function, and it's a pre-element, which has some nice features which I'll talk about later. And it just starts with a HTML of start typing label, the label that you see here. And after that, we add two event listeners to document body, and these are the event listeners for key press and the key down. So when I press a key in the browser, I get this event, the keyboard event. And let's see, so this is already added it to the console output as well. So when you see, when I type things in, I actually see the key pressed console log here, and you get a key, the key that was pressed, and the code of that key, which I'm actually not using. I'm using the key here. So what happens next is a very simple check if this is the very first character ever typed to this thing. We need to remove the label. So this is gets removed here. So we just check the Boolean variable, and if it's the very first character that you type in, we just remove the inner text of our container. And we set this variable to false so that it never triggers again. And after that, we just append that pressed key to the inner text of that container. And that is a very, very simple and naive implementation, of course. Along the roadmap, we will be implementing the real text viewer that would do things smarter than that. Basically, the view of the text editor will be separated from the data. Right now, we don't even have a data layer, we only have a view layer here, which is our pre-container, and it just, we modify this right on the fly, right to the response of a user pressing a key. Right, so this is the first feature. The second feature is deleting characters with backspace. And this, you need to use a key down event in the browser because the backspace does not. So let's see that. You see, I hit the backspace key, but the event of the key press, this line, does not get executed. Only this line gets executed. So to capture backspace input in the browser, you need to use a key down event. And what happens here, we recognize that the backspace key was pressed, and we just remove the one character from the end of the view document that we have. So once again, pressing the backspace removes the last character. And finally, the last feature I'm going to show you today is adding a new line. So again, hit enter, and the new line appears in the editor. And here, this is the implementation of this feature. We just recognize that the enter key is pressed, and if it is, we add a new line to our container, just adding a /n. This is the feature that we are using of the pre-container. So there's a little bit cheating here just to simplify implementation for now, but the pre-container has two important features for us. One is that it has a white space pre, and that means the browser just shows the white spaces as they are. So when I add a new line, it does not ignore it, but actually respects that when displaying the text. And another feature that's important for the source code editor, it's the one that we are implementing, is that it has a monospace font family. That means every character has the exact same width. So you see here the letter M takes the exact same width as letter A. This is not important for now, but it will be important for our future implementations. And going back to the enter key, we do need to return here, because if we don't then this line will be executed as well, and that's not what you want. So you will get a new line, but you also get the key of the pressed keyboard button in the text, so that's why this return is important. So thank you for watching today. I will be hosting this project in the public GitHub repo. I will add the link to the description of the video. Please let me know which of these features you find interesting. And it might be not functional features, but non-functional requirements as well. I will devote separate videos for that. So yes, see you in the next series.